Kevin, tell me about your racing. Tell me about where you come from, how long you've been racing, your experiences, where you're at now, what you're doing, and then we'll talk about what I do and how we can fit it in together and help you be a better version of you.
I like that. Yeah, well, I'm from Sweden, quiet, calm country. I'm from a racing family that's raced all their lives. My dad was a racing driver. My mom was also as well. She's the only European champion, female champion in rallycross. But you know, I grew up in racing in rallycross, watching my dad race, and that was my dream. You know, traveling around Europe. Seeing him win championships, and then eventually, you know, I started go-kart when I was 5, all the way until I was 13. Didn't really enjoy that. I didn't really like this circuit, you know, only tarmac situation. It wasn't really for me. So as soon as I could, I switched to rallycross. I was 14, and I actually started here in the UK, which is almost like my second home, both in racing and in life now. From that point, I just gradually took step by step, and I was very fortunate to have a race team behind me that my family have run to support me throughout the career with, you know, a good car and a good team behind. So it was always, you know, I was winning championships step by step all the way. I had a little wobble in 2015.
Okay.
You know, it was the second year in a series, and I put a lot of pressure on myself, unbelievable amounts. You know, 16, 17-year-old, just a lot of pressure on, like, you have to win, and like a lot of like pushing adrenaline into myself, because, you know, a lot about feelings, trying to push to be happy all the time. But also then after I went on to the World Championship, got a factory deal, raced in rallycross in the top tier now for many years, and got a couple of wins, a couple of championship runner-ups and thirds in the World Championship, and then obviously racing in Extreme E as well with Eon Next and Veloce, which has been really fun. We've had a really good year recently. We had a really good last year, a lot of good performance, and you know, it's the last 2-3 years where I've, you know, worked a lot on my mental performance to try and bring myself to a better level. As you get older, you get more understanding of yourself as a person, as a human being, so that helps a lot in my feeling. So that's a little bit about my racing career.
So it's interesting when you talk about the family side of things and then the team that you're in now, because I've got a big thing that a happy driver is a fast driver. Plain and simple. It's that simple. And drivers and teams and the people around a driver should always be saying, what do you need to succeed? When we go racing, there should be one sort of statement that we say, and that's, great job, but how do we go faster?
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't matter whether we've pulled it or whether we're at the back of the grid. Great job, but how do we go faster? And it's just about having that positive environment, because environment changes our behaviour. And the word that I hear a lot, and you will have heard it a lot in racing, is when people use the C word. Not that one. Confidence. Confidence is the C word I'm talking about, right? It's this weird thing. It doesn't actually mean anything, because it's a throwaway term that people will use because it's different depending on the context, the environment. If you know that you are capable of doing something, you will be confident. I mean, you mentioned when you were like 15 having a wobble.
Yeah.
Around about that age, it's a weird transition as well. You might have found it in karting, because there comes a certain time in karting, even though you're young, you're now the most experienced person in the awning. You know, so you might be 12, but you're the person that's been driving the kart for 4 years, and everybody else in the awning hasn't driven a kart for 20 years. You're the most experienced person. But that transition from it's like being the Jedi student to becoming the Jedi master. It's a tough thing, and I see the same thing with drivers when we get round about 15 as well, because you suddenly realise how much time, money, effort is getting put into your racing, and that sense of responsibility and expectation goes up. And it's just like, wow, what do I do with this?
And you think everything in the world depends on this one result, because nobody taught you about life. You haven't experienced life, so you think, you know, if I don't win this or if I don't do well, it's going to go crumbling down. And that's during that time, my father said one of the most like powerful things that I've always brought with me from that point. And he said, you know, Monday will always come and your family will always love you. And doesn't matter the result, whatever happens, Monday will arrive, life will move forward, and we will be here. And that was one of the main things I took away from that point.
The challenges of racing, I think, is something that people tend to see the glitz and the glamour, and everybody's got their own idea of what racing is, but they don't realise it is like a job. Most teams and pretty much anybody in a garage, they're focused on the results, and they forget that actually it's about performance first. They're just focused on what's the time, where did we place. So what's your experience been like with that kind of focusing on the results rather than necessarily looking after you or getting attention for your performance?
Yeah, I think, in motorsport, a big variable is the car and also the people around you. If, let's say, the engineers or the mechanics are not they're not happy or whatever, then they're not going to perform well either. So I've come to realize, that you have to have a really strong package around you, then everybody's going in the right direction. For me, whatever the car is, I can still perform my best. And there are so many variables outside my control that I cannot affect. But what I can affect every time I'm on track is my performance, my execution on every meter, every centimeter of the racetrack. So I cannot just say, well, I did good because I won and I did bad because I got fifth or whatever it can be. That also becomes much more calming in my position, that, saying that fine, the results are whatever they will be. I come to myself, I focus on me. You also let go of so much stressful things, because all the things you can't control creates a lot of stress for you, and that takes so much energy from yourself.
It's I call it reducing variables. So if you can reduce the variables, you create more certainty, whether it's in life or in racing. If we're not sure of what the future holds, whether it's result, performance, or race weekend, next week, the interest rates, my unconscious will kick in and it'll start trying to problem solve. It'll start trying to come up with solutions and fix problems, even if the problems don't actually exist yet. And as soon as it starts to generate this mental noise, that's when our performance goes down. We get analysis paralysis. We can't make decisions. We're not sure, well, maybe this, what about that? Well, what if that happens? Well, I'm not quite sure. From a Friday to a Saturday, you don't forget how to do what you know how to do within 0.2 of a second, right? It's something else that changes, and it's usually your mental noise. And learning to recognize that the result is that, and I can reduce my variables with structure and routine and process and application, because that creates certainty for my unconscious, and it also helps me to be more consistent and reliable in my own application and my performance. So goals on a sort of weekend by weekend basis are really good things. What kind of goals do you set yourself in a weekend?
Well, I normally have a pre-season, like what do I want to achieve. What have I learned from the previous one? Throughout the years, less and less has become results. More and more have become about me, and I feel a lot more comfortable doing performance set for myself. And then during the time, I also have contribution to give the car performance, my contribution to give my driving the best, and then my contribution to keep myself physically fit and ready to perform on the day, and then also my mind. And throughout the last couple of years, that has really, I've really found a peace in having that. It's like when I go into that race bubble and I have this schedule, it's like a warm little hug around me.
Because it's a sense of certainty, structure.
Exactly.
It's not unknown. I know when I'm eating, I know when I'm in the car, I know when I'm doing data, I know when I've got my safety briefing.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what's happening. Coming back to your goals thing. Setting yourself some process goals, so things that I'm going to do. Performance goals, the things that I can measure from what I've done, and then it's outcome goals. But it's those first two things first. So when you go racing, what were the things that used to push your buttons? What were the things that you found hard in racing?
I was I think as a person, I was more close to my feelings. Like I was a lot more like if it went well, I was very happy. If it went bad, I was a lot more angry. So any kind of things that touch those buttons, difficult to say exactly what it was, but let's say someone pusher did something unfair, or you didn't, you know, have a good race in general, you got really angry and upset. And that, like you said, it was very draining because it was a lot of noise in your head that wasn't about driving. Also, it was so hard to be so close to your emotions. Recently, I've taken almost, you know, working, so I'm almost more distant to them because they don't give me anything performance-wise.
Yeah, it's if you can see them, then you're not in them.
Yeah.
And then you can do something about it. If
Awareness.
you're in it, it's very difficult to be aware. It's not something we're aware of at the time.
Yeah.
Whereas if we're aware of our thoughts and emotions and behaviours, and we can be calm about things and recognise what we need to do for ourselves in order to get the best performance from ourselves. So let's say you start a race and you go into turn one, somebody sends it up your inside and pushes it wide. And you're just like, it's fine, I'll get him, switch back, boom, hook it back up, get up behind him, everything's under control. The next race weekend, you go out, somebody sends it up the inside, same thing again. And you're like, you mother, right? Now, it's the same trigger that we've had, but a different response, right? So it's not the world that's different, it's me that's different, right? Why am I responding differently now than I did the last time this happened, even though it's the same thing that's happened? And it's because my noise is higher. When my noise is high, everything goes down. I become more reactive, I become more emotional, my emotional self-regulation goes down, my decision-making becomes poorer. And learning to take that step back, I sound like a broken record, but seeking calmness is the key to all performance.
When if calm is your normal, let's say, you're also more easy to note when you get happy or when you get angry or when you get sad.
Self-management, and this kind of what we said, that mental fitness is super key. Now, you said to me that you do meditation.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing meditation?
I started maybe when I was 16, and I've had a few different coaches in my time. Let's say during the first coach, that person presented it like a must. You must meditate for this amount of time every day for the rest of your life. That was really challenging for me to do when I began. I did it a little bit. I enjoyed it. I thought it was giving me sort of perspective, and it was quite nice to get that, you know, reduce the fuss in your brain. But the reason why I did it wasn't right. Whereas later on now, I've understood what is the benefits much better. And it's not the pressure to do it, it's the reason why you should do it and what are the benefits. And it's just like, why do you go strength training? Well, you need to be strong because then you are stronger on the track and you become less fatigued and you can perform better. Okay, mindfulness, you can take a step back, calm yourself down or just be aware of the situation. For me, you rest your brain and you give the brain a break to be clearer, more sharp, re-energized.
You mentioned kind of about being the right person at the right time when we go out on track. Depending on what your mission is when you go out, that kind of dictates the behaviour that you're going to have when you go out. So sometimes we might need to be a little bit more elbows out, and other times we've got to be a little bit, okay, I just got to get across the line and I've got to finish ahead of him. Right? Our mission changes. And if we're aware of our mission before we go out on track, we're much more likely to succeed rather than just going out and doing the same thing every time. And having a routine before you go out. What's your routine before you go out on track?
Normally 15 minutes before I actually get in the car, I've probably just finished meditating.
Okay.
So
you do that close too?
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe. It depends a little bit on how much space there is of time. Maybe there's a 2-hour break, then maybe I do it half an hour before, so there's a bit more gap. If it's very tight, sometimes I literally finish meditation, I go out, get in the car, and I drive to the pre-grid.
So, thinking more about state setting, so do you use music at all?
No.
No?
Not a little bit in the past, yes. Then I was like, okay, let's get the AC/DC on, get myself really pumped up.
Now we're talking.
Yeah,
AC/DC.
That was my previous situation. I was like, okay, I need as much, like, I want to feel energized, and but then I'm trying to become something that I aren't.
Yeah.
I'm trying to change myself to something that's not natural, to pump myself full of emotion or adrenaline before I actually need it. And that also wasted, I noticed, a lot of energy. So I stopped that. And nowadays I just try and keep everything that I have to do to a minimum, or things that I need. Yeah, just because, you know, sometimes maybe there's things that changes, so I can't go around with my headphones because maybe I need to be aware of things. Then like, okay, I just take everything out. The only thing I do is when I meditate, I put my headphones in, because that's my time, everyone. If you're disturbing that.
We very briefly touched on HRV yesterday. And HRV can be a really useful compass at helping us understand where's our load at. How much load is the organism under? Well, that's a different question. What do you mean? Physical or mental? Right. Well, if we're under a mental load, it gets displayed physically. Right. So if I'm stressed about something, heart rate will be up, respiratory rate will be up, blood pressure probably goes up. My digestion shuts down if I'm in stress all the time, so I start to get gut issues and stuff like that. And my HRV will probably go down as well. Our HRV is a really good thing not to look at necessarily for specific moments in time, but for trends. We're looking for deviations from our baseline. And you'll see that if you exercise, then chances are in the sort of hour or so afterwards, you probably see your HRV go down, because you've put the salty bag of meat under load.
Yeah.
As you approach a race weekend, to be able to look at it and go, oh yeah, no, I'm good. It's good. Or, okay, I can see it's been doing that the last week. Okay, a little bit more self-care. I'm a big believer that performance in anything is 90% preparation. An exam's not an exam if you know it, right? If you were to go into an exam and go, what do you want to know? Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. It's not an exam, it's not a test. It's just me
writing the facts.
I think we take care of most of the mental performance issues before we even get in the car. You should already be the right person at the right time, and the noise shouldn't be there. If we're having to put out fires at that point, we've missed something.
Yeah.
However, there can be occasions when somebody pushes our buttons on track, and we need to calm down in the moment.
Yeah.
Because we've just noticed, it's almost like hitting the rev limiter. Right? My noise level's just ticked over and I need to bring it back down a little bit. And we can do a similar kind of anchoring thing. And so I thought it would be quite useful to do what we call the invisible button.
Okay.
I've got an off-road driver in the States. He's got a 3D printer. He printed his invisible button. Right, because he thought, I'd like to have my invisible button actually on my wheel. So he printed it and put it on his wheel. The minute you put your helmet on, you become a slightly different version of yourself. You're heading towards the moment of performance. And we can do the same thing in the car with an anchor. So I'm going to grab is my iPad over there? No, my iPad's here because I need to write this down as you see it. When I ask you about feeling calm, right, what kind of picture do you get in your head?
I see a race paddock and I see one straight line.
Yeah, there's no other people.
No.
Nice and calm, nice and quiet.
Exactly.
And what's the weather like? When you think of calm and you see this?
It's not raining, it could be a little bit cloudy. It's not dark, it's bright, but it could be light clouds.
And when you're thinking about this, is it a colour picture or a black and white picture?
Oh, it's a little bit of colour. It's not black and white, a little bit of colour, yeah.
And is it like a photograph or is it like a movie that you're seeing?
No, more a photograph.
More a photograph.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the first part, right? So we're just establishing what calm feels like to you, what you associate with being calm, right? And if you had a button, only you can see it, that when you push it, you're going to feel calm. What colour is the button?
Green.
The button's green.
Yeah.
So we've got a button in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? It's the size of a quarter. It's round. It's curved in. It's flat. It's got a good click. Look at that. We've got an invisible button.
Great. Nice button, that.
Yeah.
My patented.
It's a good invisible button. Right. I'm going to get you to think about this paddock, this one line, this calm, this quiet environment, these light clouds. Right? I'm just going to get you to generate your state. And then once you've got that state feeling really good, I'm going to get you to think about pushing this nice calm button in. But as you push it in, I want you to breathe out. So what we're doing is we're anchoring a feeling, which is a state that you're getting when you think about this thing. We're anchoring an action to a thing. And then you can do this anytime. During something happens, and you catch yourself just off your own rev limiter. Right? And the reason we're anchoring it to the out breath is as you breathe out, your heart rate goes down. So we're putting all these things together to generate and anchor a little moment of calm for you whenever you need it on demand, on tap. So I'm just going to sit here and I'm just going to get you to close your eyes.
Great.
And I'm going to get you to think about being calm. So think about that race paddock, that one line, that nice, calm, quiet, bright, light clouds. Just take a moment, take yourself there, and then notice the feeling that you're getting. Mid-chest, mid-green. Imagine almost reaching out with a kind of volume control. Turn up the intensity. Make it detailed, sharp. It's so clear, it's so calm. And as you turn up the volume on the picture, notice how the feeling changes too. Just notice that round button in the middle of your wheel. Size of a quarter, round and flat. And just imagine seeing that silicon button. And when you're ready, and you're feeling really, really, really calm, imagine your thumb just coming up, resting on top of that button. And then as you push that button in and feel that click, breathing out and saying calm to yourself. And then take a breath in and open your eyes. So, anchoring a calm button, right? Because all we're going to do is we're just associating a feeling of it's fine, everything's good, everything's calm, it's not a problem, to an action. With anchoring in any mental tools, it's the same thing. It's practice.
It's key and everything to get a bit of perspective.
Is there anything specifically that you want from me?
Well, can you print that green button?
You can print a green button. You're younger than me. You know that technology.
No, I think it's great to learn from you know. There's different strategies and from different people. I really appreciate learning what you think is like. It's like every person. You got to find your own way. Like you know, there's not one straight line forward. You gotta. It's just like experiencing and getting good at something. You got to take things as you go, step by step, add to your basket, and then finally you have a really strong package. So it's been really, really great.
It's like being a driver coach. Right? A driver coach will tell you how they go round the corner. Is that the only way to go round the corner? No. There's more than one line round the corner.
Yeah.
But that's how they go round the corner.
Yeah.
You just got to find a way that works for you.
Yeah.
And it might be fast in, slow out. It might be slow in, fast out. But if the time's the same and there's no faster way, that's fine. But you do it your way.
Yeah. At least you're in control of what your own way around the corner is.
And we come full circle.
There
Creating certainty and helping our unconscious feel like everything's under control. Bringing down the mental noise. Keeping tabs on our mental fitness. Knocks on. Yeah,
Fantastic.
100%. Thank you very much.
Thank you.